We are about to break down my 2025 NFL mock draft, the way too early edition. As a reminder, we will have more NFL draft coverage for you right here on the show. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button right now. As we get into my way too early 2025 mock draft, couple notes. A, it's more about the player and a little bit less about the roster fit. To an extent, I did want to fill needs, but it's a year from now. Everything's going to change. The order was based on the Super Bowl odds reversed, with tiebreakers going to win projections and playoff odds. So if you don't like where your team is ranked, that is not my fault. Blame the Vegas bookmakers. So Carolina's at number 1. No quarterback here. You can ask 10 different draft analysts right now, and you probably get like 7 or 8 answers who's going to be the number 1 overall pick. I'm a big fan of James Pearce Jr. I have loved what I've seen from him at Tennessee. I think he is an ascending player in a class that has, you could have legitimately like 10 guys if they play the way that they can play, push for that top spot. I'll go James Pearce for now, but I am not beholden to that take. Mykel Williams next up here for the Patriots. Thought about a DT, but they got Christian Barmore. Williams, with all way too early mock drafts, there is projection involved. How good are you going to be? Do you get better the way we think you're going to? And that's a lot going on here with Mykel Williams. But it's exactly what we said about Jalen Carter, who ended up being a top 10 pick and could have been top 2 if he hadn't had all the off-the-field stuff there. Williams going to play more edge, sounds like, for Georgia. Big-time breakout year potential coming. Will Campbell at LSU, which is kind of funny. LSU had 2 first-round receivers, a first-round quarterback, and they might have 2 first-round offensive linemen in the 2025 class. Campbell played really well for the Tigers. Sack numbers were low in part because Daniels did a good job of avoiding stuff there. Size, athletic ability traits, all there. He's in a battle with 1, maybe 2 others to be the first tackle taken. Will Johnson out of Michigan to the Commanders here. I think they need a corner. We'll see if Benjamin St-Juste ends up being a piece. Dan Campbell, not afraid to invest in corners. Michigan has a bunch of different potential first-round picks this year, even more so than last year. I am a huge fan of Johnson's game. Had he been eligible, he might have been the first corner taken in this past NFL draft. All right, Kelvin Banks out of Texas. Again, competing with Campbell, I think, to be that first player taken. You take J.C. Latham in round 1 last year, put him on the right side, put Kelvin Banks on the left side. Now you got bookend, decade-long tackles in place for the Tennessee Titans. Let's put our first quarterback in here. Carson Beck out of Georgia. In general, and we'll go more in depth on this in a little bit, I don't love this draft class. But if the Giants are drafting 6th again, that means Daniel Jones ain't it, or Drew Lock ain't it, or both of them ain't it. And I think Beck has the most upside, the most consistency, the most just pure talent, closest to being realized right now to be that top pick. He might not be a first-round pick at all, but we have to put some quarterbacks in the way too early mock draft. So today's pinned comment is this. Who is the best QB in the 2025 NFL draft? Is it Beck? Is it somebody else we'll get to here in a little bit? Sound off at the pinned comment of today's video. Michigan has not 1, but 2 defensive tackles. We'll get to the other one here in a little bit. Mason Graham out of Michigan has the burst that not all these Michigan DTs end up having. With Chris Jenkins, etc., off to the NFL, should have even more playing time for Graham. The Cardinals invested in DTs. They don't have a juiced-up guy like Mason Graham, though. I think there's real top 10 potential there. I'm going to put Travis Hunter as an athlete. Is he a receiver? Is he a cornerback? You can ask different NFL scouts, and they'll say, he's a receiver. No, he's a cornerback. I might just let him do both. And what better place to have that swag than Las Vegas? I think it's a fantastic fit. I'd play him both ways. He's got instincts at both spots. I think I'd go corner over receiver, but I get the receiver angle. Corner's a big need for Vegas. Plug him in there and let him play some offense, too. I think that would be a good fit for him. Plus, Vegas is at least warm enough in the summers, maybe not so much at night, to make that work. Minnesota gets Deone Walker out of Kentucky. I love him. The dude is a massive human being. He's like 6'5", 350. And he moves so much better than people that size are supposed to move. Minnesota has a huge need at DT. I think they take one. Now, I'd also mention, I think Minnesota likes Kenneth Grant out of Michigan a decent amount early on. We'll come back to him, though. The Saints probably going to lose Rashid Shaheed or A.T. Perry, or at some point somebody down the line. You got to invest some more assets there at receiver longer term. And I love Luther Burden. I'll be honest. The first time I went through this, I didn't have any receivers go in my top 19. I'm like, I got to find a spot for a receiver. There's too many good ones. Burden is an electric football player. Loved watching him at Missouri this past year. This will be one of the harder evals unless he takes a big step forward for me. That's Harold Perkins Jr. out of LSU. I think he's a linebacker. I don't think he's a pass rusher. I don't think he's big enough to do pass rush stuff full time. There will be Micah Parsons comps. Okay. I wonder if Anthony Barr is a better comp for him, although he's not even as big as Anthony Barr is. Like, maybe Devin White ends up being the comp, which would kind of scare me. There's talent there. LSU's defense was so bad, you almost want to just toss out that film last year. I want to see him be a full-time off-ball linebacker, which I think is going to be the plan this year for the Tigers, and then be deployed as a blitzer. I think that's his best path, but I'm very curious how LSU ends up using him, because we saw him get to the quarterback pretty well as a true freshman. Play took a step back last season. Benjamin Morrrison out of Notre Dame. Unless he's terrible this year, he's going to be a pretty consistent top 15 mock draft pick for me, if not even higher. He's a very, very good corner. Another Michigan man, Colston Loveland to Indy. They were obviously heavily linked to Brock Bowers. Loveland would have been tight end too had he been eligible this year. I am very curious what the production looks like with the quarterback change coming from Michigan, but there are blocking and pass-catching traits to really like for Loveland. Which, by the way, would be funny if he went to the Bengals, because there's a Loveland, Ohio, which is where my parents live. So it'd be kind of that might go over very well for them. I'm going to put Shedeur Sanders here at 14 to Pitt, or from to Pitt out of Colorado. We'll see if Fields is the answer. If they're picking 14th, probably means neither him nor Russ were the answer there, by the way. So don't blame me for where you're picking Steelers fans. I like Sanders. I liked him a lot last season. He's not a lock first-round pick right now. He has to do better against pressure. Has to stop creating his own pressure. Has to be better pushing the ball more downfield even at times, over the middle of the field. The quick strike passing game, absolutely there. There is growth that is needed. And this is the last QB I have in my round one mock draft. I refuse to put Quinn Ewers in here. I just can't. I need to see. There's always projection involved, especially at quarterback. I think there's even more projection involved for Quinn Ewers, and I'm not comfortable doing it. Other guys, I've seen people like various levels of like for all of these guys across the NFL. Drew Aller has the arm strength, but he wasn't good last year for Penn State. He has to be just drastically better. Massive growth projection there. Jalen Milroe has the arm strength, the mobility. He takes so many sacks. Connor Wigman, people like him, but he's never actually been healthy. So let's see him be healthy for a year. Dylan Gabriel's an older prospect, could maybe fit the Michael Penix. There's going to be a lot of Michael Penix cops. Transfer, Pac-12-ish, lefty, Riley Leonard, older transfer, but he was a dual threat. Noah Fafita is undersized, but I actually like him a lot. He's super fun. He's just tiny, and that's going to ding him. Cameron Ward, people like him, but I have never been in love with his play. I think a great chance to showcase himself for at Miami. Jackson Dart just kind of screams day three guy to me. Jalen Daniels is a great athlete, but is he a real quarterback? None of these guys are clear-cut, yes, there's no this is a Drake May caliber QB. Maybe somebody has a Jaden Daniels year and locks themselves into a top 5, top 10, top whatever pick, but there's no guarantee these guys end up being first-rounders. Some of them might even go back to school. So how many QBs go in round 1 of the 2025 NFL Draft? Sound off for me in the comments right now. Kenneth Grant out of Michigan to the Chargers here. Hey, it's a Michigan man to Jim Harbaugh. Boy, don't that make sense. I will say I know of one NFL team in their advanced scouting that thinks Grant has top 5 pick potential. Hasn't showcased yet, a lot of projection. Don't sleep on him. Nick Scourton, this is the Purdue transfer to Texas A&M, played really well for Purdue. Guys, if Trayvon Walker doesn't come along, they've got to draft another edge rusher. They have to. Earnest Greene out of Georgia. You know why Amarius Mims played right tackle? Because this Greene guy was pretty darn good. Goes in the exact same range, a potential left tackle option for Cleveland. I would wonder if the Micah Parsons comps might make more sense. They're unrealistic, but bear with me. For Abdul Carter. He was a linebacker to begin his career at Penn State, going to play more edge this season. You have Montez Sweat. Yeah, we'll see if Austin Booker, Dominique Robinson emerge as like third options. How about a number 2 pass rusher who's super cheap on a rookie contract, and then the Sweat contract goes away, and then you pay Carter. Could work out very well timing-wise for Chicago. Now, NFL rookie jerseys are available, including Caleb Williams. The 18's locked in. Other fans, you might have to wait a little bit to get the rookie jersey number of your choice, but the pre-order stage is available on Fanatics. It will ship with the right number. It just has to be officially, signed off on by the NFL because rookies sometimes change. Go to chatsports.com/NFL jersey. That's chatsports.com/ I remember seeing the Broncos owner, GM, saying they wish they knew what Bo Nix's number was because they wanted to sell some jerseys. You can pre-order it, though, right now. chatsports.com/NFL jersey. Emery Jones, next up here at another LSU offensive lineman. How about them apples? Again, this is a very talented LSU football team. You almost never, ever see 2 offensive linemen from the same team taken in round 1. You can see that kind of, a year, 2 years later, whatever, but you don't normally see it the very same year. LSU has a chance to actually accomplish that in a way we don't often get to see. We obviously mentioned Will Campbell, who was the left tackle, and then Emery Jones, the right tackle, also has some great size, athletic ability, very intriguing prospect. Let's get the Jets another wide receiver. Tetairoa McMillan out of Arizona. I'm actually higher than most, I suddenly feel like, on Arizona, knowing the coaching change did happen. 6'5", big body on the outside. You might have Alan Lazard with some maybe a little bit more juice. Could appeal to Aaron Rodgers. I will say, I did think about a QB here, but for now, I'll go with the playmaker. Atlanta, Denzel Burke out of Ohio State. We mocked him like in this range in a lot of 2024 mocks. We'll keep him right there for 2025. Great time to mention this. Again, early mocks, projection. You're assuming players take a step forward. Sometimes they don't, and they fall out of the first round. Walter Nolan is that guy this year. Former top-rated recruit, right? At A&M, does the thing, goes to Ole Miss. If he can showcase the raw talent, he could be a first-round pick. Or he doesn't, and he goes back to school. Or, hell, transfers again is certainly possible. Dolphins still need some more DT help. Tetairoa Davis, look, another Arizona guy that I put in there that most people don't have. I like him. Thought about the Washington Huskies corner as well here, by the way. I've seen some good stuff on film. Packers need a corner. Just makes sense. Another A&M defensive lineman, Shamar Turner. That A&M, I was shocked that I did it, but there's talent there. These guys are all like 5-star / super productive. Scourton, Walter Nolan, and Shamar Turner. Or sorry, not Walter Nolan, but Nick Scourton, excuse me. Nolan and Turner did play, of course, briefly at A&M, but not altogether. I think DT is an area of concern for Houston. Add an impact 3 technique. I think that'd be a great move for them. So no running back so far. Will a running back be drafted in round 1 of the 2025 NFL draft? Y for yes or N for no? You probably saw that one coming, right? Quinshon Judkins out of Ohio State, the Ole Miss transfer. I think he's the top running back. Some other names we'll get to here later on. OSU. It's too easy, right? Cowboys, first-round pick, running back, Ohio State. It just makes sense. Malachi Starks out of Georgia, who I think might have been the best of all the Georgia DBs, had like 4 of them drafted this past year. Eagles don't normally invest heavily at safety. They often go receiver edge, but they kind of did that already. So break the trend here. Let's go with the Georgia safety, Malachi Starks. Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State here to the Buffalo Bills. A very different type of receiver than Keon Coleman. And I think that makes him a really good blend and fits and stability option for the Bills. Different playmaker, different style, matches well with what they have. Back-to-back, look at all these OSU guys sneaking in the end of round one here. Was not my plan. JT Tuimoloau out of Ohio State. Against Penn State, first-round pick. Against everybody else, room to grow. Still waiting on that breakout. He was a popular back end of round one pick last year. Probably would have been a fringe top 50 pick. The mock draft pick last year would have been top 50 pick this year. Need that big-time breakout season, though. I'll put one of my sleepers on here, to an extent sleeper. I actually had mentioned him briefly in a mock draft. Princely Umanmielen, the Florida to Ole Miss transfer, going to go play with his brother, I believe now. I like the ability. I think the juice is there. I will make sure to include him on some early round one mocks. Haven't seen him on very many from other people. Landon Jackson. I might put him at 5 tech. He torched Alabama. He had one of the better games all year against Bama. Made Melker put him a top 15 at one point, off of the one game, and then it was hey, where did everything else go? There wasn't enough consistent production. Needs more of that this season. The Chiefs have to pay Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith in the near future, and they're already paying Joe Thuney. Something's got to give there. So I'll project ahead to, maybe they let one of those guys walk and they draft Tyler Booker, who I think could play left guard or right guard for Kansas City. I think he could do both. This, by the way, is the only Bama player in the first-round mock draft. When was the last time Alabama didn't have a first-round pick in the NFL draft? Was it Saban's first year or something? Because that might happen in 2025, folks. The Niners, again, I guess I like Arizona more than most people. Jonah Savnaiea out of Arizona, the offensive tackle. Niners might need 2 tackles next year if Trent Williams retires and the right tackle doesn't get any better, unfortunately. So I would look strongly at that spot. Plenty of names that I did not get to because I got 32 picks, and if I get 50% right, that's actually better than most people on the way too early versions. Who did I leave out of my 2025 at an NFL mock draft? Sound off in the comments section. Couple names I want to mention. Ollie Gordon is my next best running back at Oklahoma State. There are other guys. OSU's Travion Henderson, Amarian Hampton, even Taj Brooks. It's a good class if they all turn pro. Gordon would be number 2 for me for now. A couple transfer wide receivers. Isaiah Bond, Deion Burks, Evan Stewart. First-round upside, got to prove it. Josh Connolly's got some fans out of Oregon. Tyleik Williams from Ohio State, a DT. Patrick Payton was the first guy I left off. I do like his game a lot from Florida State. Dennis Sutton, another Penn State guy, will probably test super well. Jack Sawyer's the other OSU edge. And I'll throw in Barrett Carter as well out of Clemson, since Harold Perkins is kind of a tweener as a linebacker edge piece.